Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to 999. So, I've been agonizing over which door I would have to choose to go down this middle path or possibly go to this square on the right that would then go down to the right path. And then it occurred to me just a few minutes ago, I don't really have to agonize around that. The game has been very consistent about highlighting what solutions that you've chosen before, so I just have to pick something different, and so we can just move the story forward. More and more we're jumping through the story quickly, and we're approaching a point where we're just going to straight up skip a lot of story, particularly I think if we have to do something really crazy where we go back to the entirety of the beginning of the game and just start from that point and play through this right path to try and get all the keys possible. The biggest monkey wrench we could have is if the center path gives us a key or gives us a door in some way. But I suspect that won't happen. In the last episode there was also what I can only describe as a very, very dirty joke, dirty misunderstanding scene of a sexual nature added into one of the conversations with June. It went on too long. It frankly could have been a lot shorter. Yeah. I don't really want to go into it too much more. It just feels really out of place, though. In the same way that Lotus's outfit, which honestly at this point I've finally gotten used to enough to the point where every time I'm not at the point now where every time I see her on screen, am I like, boy, is that outfit out of place. I've pretty much ignored that. And I suppose it is fair to say, since I'm not Japanese and I'm not used to like group bathing, which Japanese people are. I mean, they bathe with their family, brothers and sisters up to a certain age, and they bathe with their schoolmates and friends, depending if they're doing a public bath in the city. Typically it's separated by genders, but if they're out in the country spas, sometimes it isn't, I think, is how that works. So I mean, there are rare occasions when it isn't. So yeah, the human body, female form, is just kind of made a little bit blander and less exotic. So yeah, there's probably less interest in that than compared to the highly like repressive society of like the United States, where if somebody was walking down the street wearing Lotus's outfit in the United States, in pretty much any city, they would get comments and glares, to say the least, if not straight up arrested. But yeah, let's move the story forward. We have no time to waste. The Lotus and Santa found door 1, and is the game gonna? It's taking its sweet time to load back up. It's been a while. So June and Junpei found door 6. Lotus and Santa found door 1. If we added Lotus and Santa and June and Junpei together, then I don't know what the combination of the digital root of those 4 people would be, and it would be kind of weird for them to leave Ace, Clover, and 7 alone, and just escape on our own. Let's see. There's another door on A deck, which I don't think that we have a map for Adek at all. We just in this playthrough didn't go to Adek. And there's still kind of two places on the maps we've seen that we haven't been, which are the chapel and the storage. It feels like the map shouldn't be showing us places we haven't found yet. According to Santa Lotus, there was a number 1 on that door.
We've located 2 new doors, the 6th door and the 1 door.
So, it feels like we would almost certainly have to leave somebody behind to go through one of those doors.
You know, it is interesting that Edek wasn't flooded.
Well, we don't really know if all of Edek is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator.
Even so, it's still very interesting.
Still getting a lot of narration in the novel screen.
Yes. And that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking.
It does seem to prove that.
Pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior.
Because otherwise the 6th door would have been blocked, and then you wouldn't have been able to win in some scenarios.
I can't even imagine how much it must have cost.
It would have been a ton, that's for sure.
A scenario like this,
well, that does go along with what Ace was saying,
does seem to imply that this is more of a dream or hallucination or a virtual reality scenario, or that this universe that this whole Nonary game is taking place in is a universe where people are super rich and super crazy. But in the real world, somebody getting the sister ship of the Titanic, which we assume this is what it is, would and doing all this remodeling and not being caught. Why is it not a good idea?
You're right. Ace and his team might be back already.
So,
well, Junpei and I should be able to open door 1.
So she wants to take Junpei, and Lotus.
You guys leaving me behind?
So it's just
kidding.
saying
All
the
right,
number.
let's go.
It does kind of feel like if the 3 people...
Hey! Where the hell did you guys go?
Yeah, we're back to this point.
7?
We've seen this story. So it's at this point that they found Snake. It really is a long, late in the game that they find Snake's body. Like, it seems almost like the mandate of writing the story was that, look at all this narration.
What happened?
The mandate was
What the hell kind of question is that?
to specifically have somebody die at the end of each act.
Snake is...
And we're just letting all of this autoplay.
He died, just as the 9th man did.
Oh my god, that's not true, is it?
So yeah, we're kind of just going through the story again. It's hard to comment.
Yeah, right. We should.
Wait, not that way.
So
Why not?
7 would have opened the door with no number.
Screwdriver in there to keep the door from It's not locked, so you can go in that way.
Where is he?
So when we go back and see the body,
Shower room. Left side of the hallway.
like, it leaves this opportunity for Clover to potentially kill 7 and Ace.
That means we can get in without going through the numbered door, right?
But I don't think we're gonna do any of the escape room or find the key cards in the room.
Then let's go.
And the way the flow depicts things, it really makes it seem like you are supposed to go.
Passed here before.
You're supposed to go through the 7 room.
Let's keep going.
And I'll be very interested to see if we find any key cards in this section in the 3 room.
Oh, it smells horrible.
And I guess this is slightly different story here.
Ugh, yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke.
Honestly, the story could be just mixing and matching the response with whoever you are with. Because if they're just commenting on what they're seeing and not talking to each other, their responses could easily be scripted in such a way that you would have just had written it as if all the characters were in the room and then had the game eliminate the lines of dialogue
Snake.
that wouldn't be spoken by people that weren't in the room. Or you could just easily get even lazier with it and just write it so that everybody goes back in the shower room, including even
June,
Clover.
You should stay here. Please, just do me a favor, okay? All right?
Junpei's still protecting June.
Going in.
But a lot of the internal dialogue now, I've realized, if you get told the way Junpei is thinking, it's a lot easier to relate to Junpei, which makes it a lot easier for me personally to relate to June, and finally get over that first playthrough in which she is talking about the ancient Egyptian curse, which has not shown up anywhere else. Now, the last ending we got does seem to imply that this might not be Snake, but
Just like Ace said.
it'd be kind of hard to prove it one way or another until we get the good ending and find out that Snake is alive, or get
Bracelet set off the bomb in his
get
gut.
some kind of ending that proves that he's still alive.
Oh God. The bone is coming out of his left arm.
Yeah, and that was like the
Definitely an
first
fracture.
sentence that Junpei just said from this scene, if you're in adventure mode.
Oh, the face. It's horrible.
Yeah, can't even tell who it is.
Yeah. If his head had simply collapsed, the blood coating made it as close to were covered in blood. Burgundy tie, the white shirt to jacket with the yellow.
Clothes are.
No mistake about it. It's Snake.
So, if Snake was going to fake his death, then I guess the idea would be he forced somebody to wear his clothes and then blow them up, or that person was wearing that clothes in the first place, and then Snake had a exact copy of it. We're back at this point, which this is where we skipped to when we rewound at one point.
Snake was probably murdered. Chances are he was killed the same way the Ninth Man was.
So the question would be, Now, are we going to be given a choice to say something different? Because I
It's
think
pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it.
we decide, do we just have to go one way or the other way? And I guess we should just
Killers got Snake to
alternate.
authenticate on the red to open door 3.
So we should probably say,
Then they shoved him into it. Alone. And waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was all over for Snake. But he didn't give up.
yeah. I don't know if our decision to back Ace and say that Zero might be one of the killers moves us one way or the other.
Small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose.
And I don't think we're going to get like a third option just because we've done the other two options already.
The detonator is only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead.
You would think there would be a reason why
Snake was the
they
only
made
one
him
who-
blind. Something around that point. And I would think it would be more than just that he was blind and thus two killers decided to kill him because he might be a burden. That I don't even think that. I don't think Japanese people would assume that.
It wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer.
Yeah. That
So-
means we're looking at multiple perps here.
It does feel like
Well, just in case.
the other
I
thought
wanna make sure.
you could certainly, when people say they're blind, you assume that means they have 100% sight loss. It's very often that people are legally blind
Look for the parts
and
right.
they can't see very well, but they can see something.
Right after that was when we noticed he was gone.
And that means none of us have alibis. We
The
were
buddy
all
method would have
searching
really
for the
solved this
side,
problem
looking for those parts.
easily. At the very least.
Yeah. That means anybody could be a killer.
Any group of two people plus
Wait a minute.
Snake
What are you talking about?
would have probably exposed themselves.
How can you say that so casually? You're implying that one of us is a
Because
killer.
of the way the doors work and the digital roots work.
Well, not just one of us. If I'm right, then at least 2 of us are murderers.
Why don't you calm down a bit, sir?
It would be really weird if these side choices in dialogue are the real things that change the outcome. Because I don't think even
Zero wants?
expert
Exactly.
visual novel
This
players
game was set up
would
by
just
Zero,
assume
wasn't
that
it?
every decision is
Any
important.
game has a winner and loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers.
And I'm just not doing anything.
Trying to make
It's
us
been
fight
about a
against
minute
one
and a
another
half
for that victory.
so far, and it's just on auto mode.
Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other?
But then you run into the problem that the story is long enough that
Yes.
even
That is
though I've
why
been
we
through
can't
it
let ourselves
2
fall prey to
times,
suspicion.
sort of, not completely, but 2 times
We
already,
have to trust one
it's
another,
still kind of hard to
form a
keep
strong bond of
the
friendship.
thread of the narrative
Otherwise, we'll end up
straight.
ensnared by Zero's manipulation.
I think a big part of that is because they're not changing locations enough.
Then does that mean that
If they
Zero
never
killed
came back to the
Snake?
hospital room, or they showed up at the hospital
Yes.
room once,
Certainly Zero himself.
and then they jumped to
If
the
there's anyone we should doubt, it should be
they
Zero.
they only come back to the hospital room a second time
He masterminded this game
instead of
and kidnapped all
being
of us.
in the hospital room 3 or 4 different times.
Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well?
Good question. If Zero killed Snake, then Zero is on the ship with us.
And there was one speech check that we failed, and this might be the one that we failed before. So I'm gonna go Junpei wasn't sure because last time we did, of course. And we might as well just alternate between these.
Something's still strange.
What was that?
Well, I'm just wondering about one thing.
And what's that?
And you run into a problem
Be
with
so
a
sure that
lot of
Zero's on this
games
ship.
have this problem where you're given a prompt but you really don't know.
Really, Junpei? I confess I'm a little disappointed.
So
Usually you're rather sharp.
like generally you'd like to see
Isn't it
a
obvious?
description
Wait,
of what
it is?
your answer is going to
Zero said
tell you
this ship several times when he
before
addressed
you
us.
choose a path. But even if you get a small description in parentheses after your decision, it often doesn't help much. Like a lot of times in like Fallout games or something, or Mass Effect, they might say this line of dialogue is the romance option, this is the questioning option, this is the violent option. I think Mass Effect kind of was very nice. At least Mass Effect 1, when it was first created, it sold itself as having a violence option
He
where you
wouldn't
could
say
just
this ship.
skip the dialogue and let's just shoot this person.
He'd be saying something like that ship or the ship.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It really feels like this decision didn't do anything.
If Zero's on the ship, where is he?
See, because this decision really doesn't seem to like decrease.
I think
It doesn't seem to change the amount of paranoia against the other players. And this is just really late in the story for this all to have happened. Okay. Well, let's see. Maybe it is the combination of these two choices. So if I alternate now and go with that's crazy, I think that would probably put us on the left path. So what I think... No, wait. I don't think I actually have done this. I think the first time we played, we did the top line and the top line. And I should have done that. I should be more consistent of a player if I was going to play these types of games more frequently. So I'm going to go with That's Crazy, which should be alternate to any choice I've made before, and see if that changes anything.
That's crazy. Isn't this ship going to sink in a few hours?
This almost feels like this is the path to just prove that Junpei is dumb.
Why the hell would he do something like that?
But maybe by playing dumb he makes people
There's no
say
motive.
things out loud.
you don't believe me.
If this is doing anything, it's that decision plus going through door 7 does seem to just continue to raise red flags that Clover might be crazy or going crazy. And here you have just a ton of narration to explain the Clover bad ending that you just would not have seen at all.
Clover, I understand what you're feeling. You don't feel that you can trust any of us.
Yeah, the real question is, are these paths are these path-changing choices,
Have to understand.
or are these points that just can be
The
skipped
more we
through
distrust one
completely?
another, the further we fall into our true foe's trap.
And still, this is taking a lot
Zero
of
is the
time.
one who did those horrible things to your brother.
Yeah, I started this recording kind of reassured that we would just kind of jump into a door choice, and really we haven't. We've got a lot of story here that going forward I think I will just want to try and skip completely. See, it really does kind of feel like that whole section just
3 in the morning.
gets skipped.
That means we have 3 hours left.
Then we need to move now. 7. Clover. I know how you feel, but you do understand that right now it's important we trust one another, don't you?
Long pauses that
We must go. We have
are
very little
too
time
long.
left.
Our next destination is Mercury.
But maybe you and June should check it out first and then report back to us.
Mercury. Why are we checking
All right,
out
let's go, June.
Mercury first?
Right. Here it is.
So this is the different door that
Mercury card reader.
We're using the card 7 gave us, right?
so apparently we skipped through that
Yeah.
point.
I found it when we were checking out the shower room.
So you do get the Mercury card regardless.
7 said something like that.
And they didn't even show it
Anyway,
apparently.
Let's see what happens. I guess the elevator works now.
Jumpy, I know it's only the 2 of us, but let's do our best.
See, I don't know why they're splitting up now if it isn't the case that
What's with
Lotus
you all of a
is
sudden?
actually taking the remaining 5 people.
I thought we were put together.
The remaining 5 people are off.
You know it's
trying to
just for
escape.
Searching E-deck, right?
I thought this was going to take them to A
Even
deck
so, I'm glad I'm with you.
upwards.
Oh. First, we need to find out if the elevator comes up full of water.
See,
Just like we did before.
yeah, but that was a different elevator.
Oh, here it is.
I knew it. It's not wet at all.
Let's go.
Yes. Look! Nearly all of the buttons are destroyed.
Yeah, only the seat and bottom button can be pushed.
We're on C deck right now, so the only one we can choose is bottom.
So instead of taking it to the A deck,
Well, let's try it out.
it takes them to the bottom deck. And what door was on the bottom? Let's see. Can we
So this is the bottom deck.
look at the flow here? Like, we're still here, but this novel section is really long. And can we look at the map? Yeah, we don't have a map of the bottom, and this is the chapel that we've never visited. It'd be a little weird for a chapel to be at the bottom of a ship, or even lower floor of a ship, but I guess that's believable. So we don't have that map, so we have no idea what door they're gonna find.
Hey, over there.
So there's a
This
number
is
2 door.
numbered door.
So we have a number 1,
This is the 8th
a
one
number
we've found.
6, and a number 2.
There were 2 numbered doors on B deck near the central staircase. They were doors 4 and 5. 3 more in the large hospital room. Doors 3, 7, and 8.
And the door we found on E deck, and the door Lotus and Santa found on A deck.
Yeah, it's...
It was a 6 on the door on E deck, and a 1 on the door on A deck.
I feel like we went to the door 1
That means
to get to the left path
Do you
on the
think
flow.
The next door we find?
yeah, I think so.
So we need to decide whether we're going to
Next
go with the
one's gonna
2
be door
deck,
9.
2 door, 6 door. And it might be a 50-50 shot,
Finally!
Yeah.
really. We
You
may
look
just
very
have to
happy about
gamble
it,
and
though.
we'll just go down the list, I suppose.
It's not that. I just hope nothing goes wrong.
And of course something is going to go
You're right.
wrong.
We should keep our fingers crossed.
Let's head back.
Yeah, you definitely run into a problem with the multiple playthroughs here. Like, most games, most Western games in particular, are not designed to be played through multiple times, even in part.
All right, 7 pieces.
So, this is where we get to the paper trick. And this is where Junpei
Just
really
double-checking, but everyone wrote their code name and a door
has
number they
control
want,
over
right?
it.
Yes, just like you told us earlier.
Can't believe we're voting here.
We need to make the whole thing fair, blah-de-blah. This is a complicated plan, you know. Hurry it up, Mr. I have a brilliant idea.
So, they... Apparently, Junpei...
Yeah, quiet in the peanut gallery.
Junpei is not being explained as a cheater. Here he is. It wasn't a plan that... Alright, we need to read this part. Wasn't a plan he wanted anyone catching wind of, however, so he did his best to act calm as he began to open and read the pieces of paper.
All right, let's open these up. The first one says, Ace requests door 1.
Yes, I do. Would you like me to explain why?
No, we don't have time for that.
And-
Sorry. Let's keep going.
Interesting, they just skipped through that part.
Next is Santa. He wants door 6.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
It kind of doesn't even matter what you choose, if you're choosing because you want to be next to a certain character, as much as it matters to choose the door based on what ending you want to get, based on what keys you have, I think.
Clover wants 1, Lotus wants 2, and 7 also wants 2.
Wait a minute. There is no way I'm going anywhere with the Elephant Man.
Here we have conflict again, and in this playthrough, I'm not sure that Lotus has even spent 5 minutes with 7. Yeah, I don't think she's been in the same group with 7 in any of the sections.
No, there'd be no point to the voting if we let people change their choices because of stuff like that.
But
Just give it up, Lotus. It's not like I want to hang out with some exhibitionist grandma.
Yep. This argument would have probably been better to have been written at the beginning of the game, when I first split up in the first group. Then you could establish that the two of them got off on the wrong foot a lot better, and also you can address them gonna call her old, and that it gets on her nerves. If they had established that 7 just said that for no reason, and people found out that it got on her nerves, then it would make more sense that other people were calling her old too and making fun of her. But honestly, Lotus needed to antagonize the group a little bit at the beginning of the game, more than she actually... Well, she really didn't. Like, she needed to say something incredibly selfish and rude at the very, very beginning, and it needed to be blatantly obvious and localized and translated as blatantly obvious. at the beginning of the game, and we don't really get a line of dialogue like that. Not one that I saw.
I am not an exhibitionist. I'm wearing clothes.
Barely.
So, last I checked, that's not a crime.
Maybe. But what about common decency? Nobody wants to have to look at a chick who looks like a half-naked raisin.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you!
Yeah, this fight.
Oh, not good.
This fight really should have just started at the beginning of the game.
I'm killing him!
Junpei, read the rest.
Right. June wants door 6.
Yes, I don't really have a reason. I just felt like it.
So all the papers save Junpei's have been read. He did some quick calculations in his head.
So this was everyone's vote. Ace and Clover requested door 1.
Yeah. Do I ever get a map of a deck? This was door A on A deck. The door on A deck near the central staircase. Ace and Clover. Have we gone with Ace and Clover before? Yes. And I think that is hard coded. So I don't want door 1. Not this playthrough. Maybe next playthrough.
7 and Lotus requested door 2.
Door 2. I don't know. Like, in the previous playthrough, did we even get to this point where we had a choice? Or we forced through a specific door? That's the door on the bottom deck. Did we go through door 2 in the last playthrough?
Santa and June requested door 6.
Or did we go through door 6?
Then the door I should choose is...
Okay, the last one is mine. I want to go through.
So, yeah. In the flow, I think the way this went is that we were forced through door 2. And so changing it up a little bit and going through this door a second time would be boring and repetitive, so I'm gonna do door 6 and hope, fingers crossed, this is the right move.
I want to go through door 6.
If not, we're gonna see some repetitive content and we'll try and skip through a lot of that.
That's a problem. None of these teams will be able to go through the doors they want.
Interesting. So we've messed up everything. But I think that was the general idea.
Clover and I chose door 1.
Lotus and I chose door 2.
That's not enough people to open a numbered door, however.
The digital routes don't match up either.
We've got similar problems. Junpei and I want to go through door 6. But our digital route is 5. If we're gonna open that door, we need a 1.
So if Ace comes over to our team, then does Clover plus Lotus and 7 add to a digital route? That makes sense. 8 plus 7 is 15, plus 4 is 19. That would give them the ability to go through door 1. I guess. So, okay. So one group is going through door 1, one group is going to go through door 6. My group is going to go through door 6.
Damn, what are we gonna do now?
What are we going to do?
Am I going to get a different option? Seems like they should have figured this out.
Why don't Seven and Lotus go through door 1 with me?
So Clover apparently figured it out. So 7 and Lotus, by the way, added together would be 7 and Lotus would be 15, plus 2 from Snake would make them 17, which would be 8. So it doesn't feel like 7 and Lotus could be the killers of Snake, unless you throw in the 9 watch in some calculation, and I don't even want to bother to try to do the math there.
What about me?
He's apparently not able to do the math.
Isn't that obvious? Wasn't one of the teams just complaining that they didn't have a 1?
You mean I should join Santa's team?
Yes.
See, the fact that Ace is kind of passive in this scenario does kind of feel like he is 0 still. Her attitude and posture could not have been more different than the energetic girl only a few hours before. Here's a great point where a costume change, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense that there would be a slight costume change in this scenario, but a costume change would certainly have helped. So if she, say, cut her hair in some accident, or tore her jacket, removed her jacket, took a lot of color out, like removed her little bow tie, things like that, and looked just a little bit differently, then that would help establish her, Clover, as a character as looking a little bit different, where none of the other characters in the story are going through anywhere as big of an emotional stress as Clover is. They're going through quite the emotional, stressful situations, sure, but not as much as having your blind brother murdered. So yeah, a costume change would help establish that, instead of just drawing her as looking down and downward and sad, because I'm fairly certain that they were even using this image of her looking downward and sad before Snake went missing, or at least in between the time in which Snake went missing and before she found out he was dead. Like, at the very least, you could have written some storyline where she took off the headphones and said, these headphones were given to me by Snake.
I understand. I'll go through door 6 then.
Or you could have had like a blood stain on her jacket or something.
If we do as Clover has suggested, we can all pass through a numbered door and no one will be left behind.
Although if you did a blood stain, then you run into the risk of it not being Nintendo approved for the Nintendo DS. It really is crazy to try and have this game on the Nintendo DS instead of putting it like on the Vita. But I guess there was a brief time in which the PlayStation Portable, the PSP, was not doing so hot and the Vita wasn't out yet, and I suspect that would have been about the time that this game either started development or was released.
This seems to be the most reasonable solution.
I think the sequel to this game was on the Vita, and certainly most of the visual novel and more Japanese-centric games came out on the Vita up until very recently, at which point even the Japanese audience stopped supporting the Vita in favor of either just playing games directly on the PlayStation or the Nintendo Switch or on a cell phone.
7. Lotus. What do you guys think?
I don't have a problem with it.
Me either.
Alright then. We're good to go.
These two are just fighting, so now they don't have a problem being put together.
See you later.
Wait, Clover! Don't move on your own.
Oh, I'll be going too then.
Yeah. Be careful.
We should get going as well.
So what's kind of funny here is that scenario, if we think about it, we have put ourselves in the right place. This scenario puts Clover and them going which way? Because like the thing I'm thinking here is when you get to this escape room, if you ended up with Clover or June, then you would do that experimental procedure on them, and maybe it would do something to make them psychic and get you the good ending. That would be really crazy if June got psychic powers and this was the good ending, hidden amongst all the bad endings. But I think they are going through the one door, which would send them down this path, which pretty much is a 50-50 shot that they are going to be axe murdered by Clover. And now we're just into the new story, so forward we can go again. And the audio cuts out for a brief second. I don't mind small seconds of silence.
This is E-Deck.
There should be a door at the end of the hall.
All right, let's go.
They have to either kill somebody at this point, though, or somebody has to reveal that they have the 9 bracelet or the 2 bracelet. Yeah. In this pathway, the way it's played, Ace could not have the 9 bracelet, or he would have had to have snuck back at some point to get the 9 bracelet. And anybody, I guess, at any point could have grabbed the 2 bracelet, and it could have just not been mentioned. But we'll have to see if any of the endings even take that into accounting. But yeah, if their digital root is 6 now,
Here it is.
they would have to either
You guys ready?
get more people back together,
Yeah.
or
Then let's get to it.
they would have to eliminate somebody. And we don't know what's behind this door. It'd be kind of funny if somebody did this on one of the doors and it just didn't work. And I assume they're just gonna do the same thing again, where they run through the door, find the dead, and then
Hey, I found it. It's right there.
they just jump immediately to that. So yeah, they just jump through that whole section. Would have probably been better for a QuickTime event in that section. It would have been pretty easy to have some QuickTime events there and just have that toggleable so that people
Stopped.
could turn it off if they found it particularly
Yes.
annoying.
It stopped. There might
I
be
don't believe I'll ever get used to
2
that.
or 3 2 or 3 escape rooms in this path. Feels like this line, "Phew, I don't believe I'll ever get used to that," gets translated by several characters. And I don't know if that's a localization issue where there's a very common Japanese phrase that everybody's saying, and that's why it's the exact same phrase, but or if they just use the same line of dialogue in the writing.
I'm not sure it's something I'd want to get used to. We should finish this game before imminent death becomes a normal thing.
Yeah, this conversation definitely happens on almost every path.
You got that right. Once I'm out of this hellhole, I'm taking a nice long vacation.
I agree.
All right, let's go.
Man, it is just so easy to play this game and go for an hour and not see any actual interactive gameplay, or very little, in the form of 2 decisions. 2 or 3
This door
decisions.
looks heavy.
But it's not locked. I'm opening it.
So it'd be funny if it opened and just flooded the room. So are we now... Let's see. Where are we? E-deck? It's not the chapel. Are we on D-deck? Perhaps? Or are we in the storage room? I guess we'll be told in a second. So, made entirely of metal, none of the accents of wood or tile you've seen in the rest of the ship. It was purely functional, but utterly tremendous. Also, not really in line with what you would expect to see as far as an old ship.
Whoa, what the hell is this?
This has to be the biggest room so far. The ceiling is pretty high, too.
Huh. Could be 2 stories, maybe even more.
This space could be utilizing the entire length of the ship.
What's that huge Kamaboko-looking building in the middle?
Kamaboko. That should have gotten an editor's note. I don't know what Kamaboko means in English or in Japanese. Massive building in the center.
Boko? Well, I guess that's as good of a description of it as any.
Not to a non-Japanese speaker. Proper term was catwalk, Junpei thought, although that didn't seem particularly important.
I see stairs, so we may as well head over to them.
Yeah, but this section's barely wide enough to fit 1 person.
You're right.
Whoa, you can't even tell the shape when you're this close.
So, even if this was supposed to be an engine room, it looks like it's using more modern steel than what would have been in the age of the Titanic,
Let's check out the other side too.
instead of being built with more copper or simpler metals. There's a lot of stuff here.
This looks to be the steam engine room.
The steam engine room?
So we found our way to an engine room, but we don't have a map of this floor, I guess.
Yes, that thing that looks like a cross-section of a mushroom is the boiler. You see the 3 round doors near the bottom? Coal is put into those and burned, which heats the water, producing steam. The same thing that drives a steam engine. This one is simply somewhat larger.
I see.
It doesn't appear to be running right now.
So the ship isn't moving. Good to know. So that doesn't mean you're not just floating on the ocean somewhere, getting sent further and further out to sea just by the currents. But it does give you a small bit of information. June collapsed to her knees.
Hey, what's wrong? Are you alright?
The fever is coming back, apparently. Look at the size of his hands. That perspective is way off. Way off. Particularly his left hand on the right of the screen is giant. Just, whoever this animator was, they did not know how to keep perspective in place. Even his hand on the left, for it to be as big as it is drawn, it would have to be considerably closer to the screen than his forearm would be, which would be an impossibility because his wrist and hand, of course, are attached to his forearm. And then we get another scene of just seeing how Junpei is dressed, and I guess maybe they're trying to depict him as a college kid, but he still kind of just feels like more of a country boy to me more than anything else. I guess I should applaud, since they are Japanese animators, that they chose not to go with the underwear peak, the pantsuit exposure when drawing June. Certainly a lesser artist in the game that was trying to be more lewd would have done that.
Hey, June.
It was then that he noticed.
You're really warm. Is your fever coming back?
Yes. Yes. It probably is. But I'm fine. Please, don't worry about me.
It'll be funny if 2 of the paths end up with June dying. I guess maybe all 3 of the paths so far have ended up with June
I just
dying.
need to rest, and I'll be fine.
So I guess with the numbers, they've probably written this in such a way that you will effectively get a bad ending regardless, as long as both June and Junpei don't survive. That was fairly obvious on the right path, that he kind of gave up hope when he saw June was dead.
Okay, here, sit down, careful.
If June does die, then you are ended up with, let's see, Ace and I think Santa and Junpei, which would be 5, 3, and 1, which is 9. So I guess if June just passes away, it would be sad, but then those 3 could escape. I don't know if you call that a good ending, but it's not the worst ever. It's better than what it seems like the other endings are, where very possibly nobody survived.
Thank you.
It's probably the reason why there are these little screen shots of the face in particular popping up, is the fact that the animator is really bad at drawing feet and hands. It's not an uncommon problem for animators in particular to be really bad at drawing feet and hands, and they are very easy to get wrong.
Ace, Santa.
Yes.
Yeah, Ace and Santa would be 3 plus 5 plus 1. So those 3 do equal 9.
Right. Alright, let's get started. Hang in there, June. I'm gonna get you out of here real soon.
So we start the puzzle, and they've removed June as being one of the characters that they're going to talk to. So we are going to basically see, yep, this is a different room than the storage room. Basically either going to get more backstory with Ace, which I'd be fine with, or more backstory with Santa, which I'd be fine with. So we're kind of in a good position. This needs square holes. Slots. Something that goes in here. Okay. Move coal from the place. So we get some coal if we can get that moving. The tunnel goes all the way across the ship. Interesting. So this is a weird puzzle because of the idea that that we're apparently gonna solve this puzzle by starting the engines. I suppose if this was a case of if this was really a case of the getting the engine to move forward might get somebody's attention and save them all. Right. Snowman's secret meeting. Was it just bags full of sand? Okay. So. So apparently we have a gold, a bronze, and a silver gear. We can go up here and we've got some kind of puzzle. We can go up here. We can see we've got an A. So this is a very large area. So, does seem like there's quite a lot going on here. So, you go through C door and it gets you one place. Let's figure out what B does. And it takes you to a different side. So we got a wheel that we're gonna have to move around. And I'm just skipping through a lot of this conversation. Like, it's not important. Well, the important stuff will be talked to us, and I guess I kind of appreciate that as an idea. It's not the worst way to make a game. Make it a little bit more obvious that a lot of this dialogue doesn't matter, but it does kind of waste a lot of the dialogue and descriptive language. So device in the box, apparently. The wheel only turns to the left. Means you can't reel up the rope. Yeah, we can only let the rope down. Interesting. I don't think that will be a problem. You'll simply need to go down the stairs after letting the box down. Ace still seeming to be fairly supportive and fairly passive. So that was the important thing to do. Is Ace going to give us any backstory about him at all? See, it would definitely eliminate a lot of suspicion around him as being Zero if he gave us some made up backstory of something. And it would be funny if he gave up the made up backstory of 7 so that then 7 became under suspicion after hearing that backstory. So if Ace just said he was a cop and then 7 later claimed to recover his memories and say he was a cop, then there might be some more suspicion on 7.
She doesn't seem to be improving.
Well, of course not. She's not going to just get better right away, you know? It'll take time.
What could be causing this, I wonder? Illness, perhaps?
There is a question about that.
Nah, it's gotta be exhaustion. She gets dropped into some weird-ass ship, forced to play some messed up game. If you think about it, it's a lot weirder that we aren't freaking out just like her, you know?
So you're saying we're abnormal?
I would say the characters are a little abnormal. They should be freaking out a little bit more.
Yeah. We're just running around this room, solving all these puzzles like it's just business as usual. How the hell could you call that normal?
Santa making a good point.
Guinea pigs.
A guinea pig? You mean like a lab rat? You mean we're being used for some sort of experiment?
That might be the answer.
Is that what you're saying?
Dunno. But it does seem like a possibility, you know?
It would also explain away the reason why there doesn't seem to be a connection between all the characters. So back we go. And then back through here. And then back down here. And then a little awkward to get to that point. A little awkward to get to this point. This is probably a great example of what's see, can we go? How do we get through here? There's gotta be a way to get on the other side of the path. Oh, it's right here. Never mind. So we now have a control panel for something. And clearly it connects into that. Okay. Pushing a button. Turning things on. Remember when this was supposed to be a Jigsaw Saw movie inspired death trap game? We're really not seeing a lot of that. even in the puzzles, it seems like they are fairly basic, simple puzzles. You could easily have had people just wander around solving puzzles at their leisure because they signed up for a game as much as and they were just having an escape the room experience, instead of putting a time constraint and the threat of impending death around these characters. Although in a Japanese story there probably does need to be a threat of impending death to avoid some small percentage of players just deciding to stay in one place and do nothing. So now we've got some coal. So we now have a box full of coal. Do we have anything else? No. That worked. So now they're going to spend a lot of extra time putting coal in the furnaces. And June wants to help, and they tell her no. Now, did we fill up all the furnaces, or are we just turning on the furnace to one of them? Junpei, hand me your matches. Why would I have matches? How are we gonna light it? Perhaps there's a device nearby that allows us to remotely ignite the coal. Let's take a look. Okay. It's kind of pointless to go to a full screen a full screen image of Ace if he's just gonna say one thing. Okay, so it seems like we did something to turn on these lights, either putting the control device in or filling it up with coal. So then it becomes a matter of slider's locked in place, it won't move. This is going to be really easy, isn't it? Alright. You'd think this would be the puzzle. So we started it. There's a big gear turning under the boiler. That was way too easy. Gears. They're spinning. Let's start looking. So now in the gold, we have a puzzle piece, a gold disc. Yeah, this seems like too much of a puzzle at this point. Now we have a bronze disc. And now we have a silver disc. Let's see if we can merge any of these. No. The question is, where's even the door here? Like, the thing we have not seen at all is a door that would it would open. Let's see. Up here. Up here. This door. Through here. We can't go through any of those sections now. So unless the engines were going to somehow rotate in such a way to do something. Okay, so we just had not found this part yet. So we just had not found the door. When the disc is pressed, it will rotate a certain amount. When the white arrow is pressed, the discs are switched. Please note, when the discs are switched, the angles for the discs are reset. Okay. So, it's not really worth our effort, I think, to probably try and eliminate the yeah, I don't think it's worth our effort to try and click on the door and find out that there's one little thing different. It seems fairly obvious that it has to be the red. But these don't line up at all. So that almost lines up. I guess that was good enough. The red lines are on the disc. I think maybe I can make a star polygon with these. That opened the door. And we escaped. Very big room. A lot of stuff. It would have been easy to take one of those puzzles out and put it somewhere else. Or at the very least not have us pick up 3 different circular discs from 3 different gears. It would have been easier just to have gotten all 3 gears from one gear, all 3 discs from one gear. So now the point is, are we going to look at June and find out she's passed out or died, or do we make it out of here?
Alright, Junpei. Why don't you go get June now?
It'd be funny if this is the point where Ace betrays you and Santa and Ace run and leave Junpei and June behind.
Santa and I will keep an eye on the store.
But it really can't be that because there's just a lot more gameplay in this path.
Why do we need to do that? Even if it shuts, we know how to solve the puzzle now. We could just open it again.
Well, I suppose that's true. Shall all 3 of us go and collect June then?
Nah, I'm cool. I'll let Junpei handle it.
So are you only interested in being contrary?
Alright, I'll go get June. I'll be right back.
They should all stay together and go get June, frankly.
Oh, Jumpy!
Are you okay?
And yeah, we'll just trying to
Yes, I'm fine now.
run
I'm
it
sorry
forward.
I made you worry.
June seems to still kind of switch mostly between either like romantic mode with Junpei, or I've got a fever and I'm about to pass out mode with Junpei. Then in one path she sometimes gets into conspiracy theories. It'd be really weird if we get some actual backstory here.
Let me check.
This might be the true romance path that still ends up bad.
Good. You're feeling a lot better.
It would be funny if it turned out that the reason she keeps having these fevers is because in some future like timeline she gets put into the electrical device torture chair and they do the procedure on her, and that puts some kind of solution into her head in a certain playthrough that solves the game.
Are you sure you're all right?
Oh, you're such a warrior, Jumpy. Oops, I mean, warrior.
See, and that's definitely a localization thing, because almost certainly warrior, as in someone who fights, is not pronounced anywhere close to warrior as someone who worries in Japanese. And it does seem like June sometimes does just act silly and childish. Like, Junpei and June in their relationship really are a story that shouldn't be in this game. Doesn't make sense. It's not helpful, really. It's not written well enough to make sense for the amount of time. Like, this couple literally have only been back together for 6 hours or so. And we just want to keep on pouring through
All right,
this.
let's go.
Go where?
Fast.
Oh, right. I didn't tell you. We got the exit open, so...
Great! Let's go!
On their way, they found
Oh, it's...
Santa?
Santa. Santa was sitting on the stairs. Not dead. It's a little early for Santa to be dead. He was, however, holding something in his right hand, staring at it with a strange expression. Junpei June slowed down and finally stopped in front of him.
What are you looking at?
It's a photo. It's my sister.
So, are we finally going to get some backstory that Santa might have been one of the kidnapped kids and his sister might be Aoi, or one of the other kids, the one that died?
Sister? Santa, you've got a sister?
Yeah. Kid was cute as a button.
She was only about an inch tall then? Oh, sorry. I guess an inch is a little large for a button. Probably more like a half inch.
June is being glib and not catching on that clearly his sister is dead. But then this does open up a path and a kind of a ridiculous problem in the narrative, because if we're to infer from this, and about to find out, that Santa had a sister who died, why has he not been more sympathetic or kind to Clover? Like, he doesn't seem like he really had any actual reactions to Clover when he really should have.
Sorry.
Why are you looking at it?
I was her Santa Claus.
So, apparently his code name makes more sense now.
Wait, what?
Have you ever heard the story of the two Santa Clauses?
No.
It goes that a long time ago, there were two Santas. One of them wore white, and the other one wore black.
Okay.
The white Santa gave presents to good kids.
So this is probably a derivation of like the Krampus myth.
And the black Santa played tricks on bad kids.
Hmm.
They went on like that for a while, but eventually the black Santa's tricks started to get worse and worse.
Hmm.
Pretty soon, the white Santa couldn't stand it anymore, and he stabbed the black Santa to death.
Hmm.
When he stabbed the other Santa, the white Santa got blood all over his clothes.
Hmm.
And that's why, these days, his clothes are red.
This is a prime example of the Japanese fascination of Western myths and how they would love to take those myths and expand on them and change them a little bit and have fun with them, where Western cultures would have too much reverence to really write a story like this. Although this may very well be a actual story that I just haven't heard.
You could say that red is all that's left of the black Santa.
Hmm.
I wonder which Santa I am. The white Santa or the black Santa?
Hmm.
Oh.
Alright, let's go.
So we get no real backstory there, other than he has a sister, and apparently she's still alive, or we are gonna just assume she's still alive, but he didn't say her name, or show a picture of her, or anything like that.
Huh?
Hey, what are you two doing? Let's get moving, come on!
Let's go.
Yeah.
And I guess we assume the sister was younger than him, or a twin.
Oh, you're finally back.
Not older.
Sorry we took so long.
So the door's shut, so they know the door does shut automatically on you. But the door can be reset. And they're through a hallway back to a new room, I guess. Are we gonna just jump into yet another...
Is this a warehouse?
Yet another escape the room section?
No, I believe this is the cargo room. This must be where they store all of this vessel's freight.
There are wooden crates everywhere. I wonder how old they are.
That's a good question. That would give some hint as to the last time people, or the average person, has been on this ship.
Well, we probably ought to start with finding the exit, right? Let's get going.
Very awkward. So we're now in the cargo room, which is yet another room. Apparently has a whole bunch of numbers at the bottom left. Okay. So if it comes down to a point where we have to go to the left and then go to the left here and then play through this section a second time, skipping the escape rooms might be ideal, and I think you might be able to do that. Like, we'll definitely need to try that and just try and not go through all the story, because this is going to be really annoying otherwise, to have to go through that very long escape room and then another escape room and what looks like maybe will be 2 novel sections that then give you a split to a novel section and then an ending, and then maybe an escape section and a novel section and then an ending. I really don't think this medium path though is the right ending. I don't think that's it, but this game has been fairly consistent as far as not really establishing itself well as far as what's going on. So like the ending twist that will happen in this game seems very much like it could just be anything. Like, other than we know Junpei is going to end up dead, I think that's the only constant we can be certain of if we are getting a bad ending. Anybody could be a killer, nobody could be a killer, anything could happen. There are some endings in like some of the Silent Hill games that were super weird and different, and yeah, I kind of have a similar feeling that this game is quite like that, where those alternate endings, those joke endings, don't make a lot of sense. Whereas a more modern game like Nier Automata has several endings, but a lot of them are quick and easy to get to, and they're realistic that you might get a game over that gives you an ending, versus the true ending, which is the victory ending. Yeah, I don't know if any of the Nier Automata endings really break the narrative of the world like the endings in Silent Hill, where a dog is, for instance, controlling all the events, or aliens are controlling all of the events just out of the blue. That doesn't make sense. That was very narratively breaking, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do have narratively breaking events in some of these bad endings where aliens show up, or it's all a dream or something like that. Anyways, it's been another hour and a half. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.